So, I've never played a God of War game before, and with all the rumors about the old ones getting remastered, it's only natural that I would start with So I tried it on normal and I hated it.
You what?
The enemies were really easy but also really annoying. You know the ones I'm talking about. And I did not really care about the unskippable cutscenes. And then I found Give me God of War, the hardest difficulty in God of War. Everywhere I searched it said, this mode is unfair, this mode is poorly designed. I saw YouTubers react to this like they were getting absolutely
I'm incapable.
I'm quitting.
So I thought to myself, how hard could it be? We begin with Kratos chopping a tree, and don't worry, I've watched all the story recaps. I know what kind of a man Kratos is, or was. After that, we row a boat while listening to a little seaman demon. Surely he's not gonna be really annoying, right? After we return to our home, Kratos lays his dead wife on fire. We learn that her final wish was for us to spread her ashes at the highest peak in all the 9 realms. To prepare for our long hike, we first take Atreus for some training to see if he's ready for the journey. He has to shoot this deer and obviously he messes up. While following the deer, we come across our first fight. And as you can see, on Give Me God of War, you do very little damage, while you die in a few hits. And if you do not kill enemies fast enough, they can ascend. And now you can no longer stagger them, and they heal up as well. On a brighter note, we can parry with our shield, and since I have a few dozen hours on Sekiro, the parry gets us through most of the fights after dying a few times, that is. Anyways, after 3 deaths, we make it through the first fight. Next, we take a side path and come across 2 wolves, and if you thought teleporting Dark Souls dogs were bad, these dogs are something else. Getting close to the deer, we reach our second fight, and this time instead of solely relying on parrying, I was getting a feel for the dodge and roll. Atreus finally stops aiming like a stormtrooper, but sadly, the god of reskin arrives. Alright, let me rant for a bit. Elden Ring gets so much shit for reusing side bosses in side dungeons, but I've rarely seen anyone complaining about this game where the same boss gets used over and over again. Take a shot every time this fuck-ass appears during the video. Alright. After we make it back home, after fighting a few more Draugrs, a fucking god arrives at our house.
Fine. My turn.
This is Baldur, our god. He's at our house searching for someone who we think is Kratos, but at the end of the game, we find out it's actually not Kratos, but he was searching for someone else. Also, we can't actually kill him because he says,
I can't feel any of this.
But we put a stop to him temporarily by cracking his neck. After all that, we are now ready to finally begin the journey. Everything was going fine, we were solving puzzles, killing the same enemies over and over again, and then this son of a, well, he's my son, lands us into the worst section of the early game. So, you have to fight a dozen of the same enemies in a cubicle sized area while there are enemies shooting at you from above. And guess what? You die in 2 hits. But this isn't even the bad part because you can just use gravity to make the fight a whole lot easier. After this, the game introduces you to this tanky Draugr and throws just not 1, but 2 of them at you, along with a bunch of normal Draugrs, turning the fight into an absolute shit show. After we get good and end the fight using our good old axe, the game introduces you to the worst enemy, the Revenant. If you have played the game, you know why. After one more fight which made me wanna smash my controller or my balls, we meet our blacksmith, Brock, who upgrades our axe, and now instead of it feeling like paper, it feels like cardboard. After solving a few more puzzles, guess who we meet? Next, Atreus joins the Phase clan and manages to aim properly, but the boar still escapes, and going after it we find Freya. And the game finally starts getting good, if you know what I mean. As in, the story finally starts getting somewhere, because right after we pick some flowers for Freya, we get a boat trip straight to one of the best cutscenes in the whole game.
It's the world serpent.
And now the game really opens up from here, so before we progress the story, we do some side quests. After that, we continue with the main quest line where we meet our second blacksmith, Sindri. Also, Freya comes back to inform us that in order to progress, we need to do a fetch quest in Alfheim and bring back the light from there. Once we are in Alfheim, we meet the second worst enemies in the whole game. These folks not only fly, but they can shoot stuff at you, which not only stuns you but also blinds you. Even with that, we kept progressing and it was pretty okay. I mean, some parts did make me want to smash my controller on my balls. And sure, some parts I did question that, was this even playtested? After we get the light and come back, we make our way through the mist, after which we fight more of the usual enemies, solve more puzzles, and guess who's back? Okay, I forgot to talk about this guy. After we grab the light, we fight the King of Dark Elves, and this is a really nice boss fight. He has tons of different moves, and is probably the best boss fight in the game if you don't count the Valkyries. Spoiler alert, I kill all of them at the end of the video. Next, we have to fight this thing in a small elevator, but it was kinda fun. Also, we get to fight a dragon. I mean, not really, because we just get to throw balls at it. Nice cutscene though. I would have honestly preferred if we got to fight Baldur's Dragon with the Blades of Chaos, but that's just me. After that, we finally reach the top of the mountain and meet Mimir, our lore guy, who tells us that this is in fact not the highest peak in all the 9 realms, and we need to go to Jotunheim for that. But first, we need to free Mimir, so we chop his head off and take him to Freya. After that, he talks to Jormungandr, who tells us we need a magic chisel to open the gate to Jotunheim. So we set off to get the chisel from the corpse of a giant, where we first have to fight furries, then fight these 2 big boys, and then my favorite mini-boss of the game. This guy only has a few moves, but they flow so well that it makes the fight really fun. After the worst elevator experience ever, we have to fight through a gauntlet of different enemies, including you-know-who. And after all that, as soon as we reach the chisel, Magni and Modi, the sons of Thor, arrive to fight us. And oh boy, this is a 3-phase gank boss fight which somehow manages to be better than the Godskin duo. The third phase is something else. Not only does the little one have a stupid projectile attack, but they have this one attack where one of them yeets the other one at you, and unless you're at a safe distance or you knock him out mid-air, it can pretty much one-shot you. In my opinion, this is the hardest part of the game. Combining all 3 phases, it took me more attempts to do this than Elden Ring's final boss at level 1. But somehow, we did it! Modi runs away but shows up a bit later and runs away again. But this time Atreus gets really sick, so we take him back to Freya. She tells us we need to go to Helheim and retrieve the heart of the keeper, but our axe won't work there, so Kratos goes home and digs up the blades of chaos. Okay, so this is the only time this difficulty really affects the immersion. So the game makes you fight these frostwalkers before and after you get the weapon. Before you have to fight with your fists, but after you get them, you're supposed to destroy these things, and dying to them really kinda takes you out of the game. After making our way through Helheim, we finally come across the keeper. It's surely this bird, right? No, it's just another one of these. God damn it. At least the cutscene looks cool, I guess. After we heal Atreus, we set out again to Tyr's Vault, where we fight, you guessed it, 2 more of these. Well, I can give this one a pass because they teach you to switch weapons, which you'll need for the final boss fight. After doing more side quests, we start heading back up the mountain, and ever since Atreus learned he's a god, he has become, for the lack of a better word, a dickhead. Well, this guy kinda deserved it. But then we reach the gate and Baldur comes back. And this little son of a bitch does this. And now we are stuck in Helheim. After fighting through tons and tons of enemies, we make it back to Midgard. But Kratos did kinda destroy the gate to Jotunheim, so we have to head to the Chamber of Odin, where after fighting many more enemies, we get the Unity Stone. And with this we can find the Jotunheim Tower, where we fight a gauntlet of enemies, some being really annoying, some being decent, and the last one, which I'm sure is a way of developers saying, here, you've fought this long, we'll show you what easy mode looks like. Before we head into Endgame, let's talk about the real bosses of the game, the Valkyries. This video took so long to make that I ended up going back to the game after months, farming armor in Niflheim because I was having fun, and doing the Valkyries. After killing 8 of the Valkyries, we reach Sigrun, and let's just say she's kinda easy. I was expecting this fight to take me at least a week from how much I have seen her being hyped. Well, aside from her massive health bar, like holy shit, this is a normal Valkyrie's health bar and this is Sigrun's health bar. Her boss fight was just different moves of every Valkyrie combined. Anyways, we beat her after 2 hours of whining and 2 hours of being locked in. Let's see how many tries. No, dude, bro. That. At last, we need one more thing, Mimir's Eye, which is inside Jormungandr, so we take a boat trip inside the massive snake. After we get Mimir's Eye, Baldur knocks the fuck out of Jormungandr, and we begin our final boss fight. With the final fight being done, we can now go to Jotunheim and spread our wife's ashes. We learn that Baldur was searching for her wife all along, but too bad, she's dead, and so is he. And Freya is quite angry at us. And with that, we have beaten God of War 2018 on Give Me God of War.